Hey guys, welcome back to Six Sister Stuff. Today I am making 4 dump and go recipes perfect for summertime. So if you're new, my name is Kristen and I am the second oldest from sixsisterstuff.com. Now I'm in charge of the YouTube channel. That's why you get to see me all the time teaching you about Instant Pot recipes. So usually every Monday I share a new recipe, but I thought it would be nice to show you kind of what I make in a week. Now I don't use my Instant Pot every single day, but I thought I'd show you some simple, easy recipes that you could either put in the freezer or that you could just dump right into your Instant Pots. Now if you don't have an Instant Pot, these recipes work well with a slow cooker too. Alright, so if you're ready for some easy, simple recipes, perfect for summertime, come with me and I'll show you how I do it.
So we're going to start with barbecue ribs. Now these are country style boneless barbecue ribs and they're really easy and become really tender in the Instant Pot. So I'm going to put them in a freezer meal right now. So if you're going to cook them in the Instant Pot, they only take about 15 minutes to make. But if you're going to make them in the slow cooker, I would suggest cooking them for 6 to 8 hours on low, not on high, on low. Now I'm putting them in a freezer meal, but you can just dump them right inside the Instant Pot or the slow cooker. Now I'm going to try and I have a little container to hold up my bag. Now I have about 3 pounds of country style spare ribs and they are boneless. Now I've lived in about 7 states and I have seen these in all 7 states. So most grocery stores will carry the spare ribs. Now on top of the ribs, I'm going to put 1.5 cups of ketchup. Next, I'm going to add about 1/2 cup of just distilled vinegar. For the seasoning, I have 1 tablespoon of Old Bay seasoning. Now, if you don't have Old Bay seasoning, that's okay. I've made it without the seasoning and it still tastes delicious, but just that seasoning gives it a delicious kick. Next, you're going to add 1 teaspoon of liquid smoke. This is an important ingredient. Add that liquid smoke. It tastes so good. And then 1/2 cup of brown sugar. And that's all there is to it. So I just zipped it up and then kind of mixed it around so I can lay it flat in the freezer so it has the seasoning all over it. Now for this recipe, I like to stick it in the fridge 24 hours before I use it. If you don't, go ahead and stick it in the microwave for a few minutes and then it will come out pretty easy. Now there's not a ton of liquid when you dump it in the Instant Pot. So I take my freezer bag, or if you don't have the freezer bag, if you're just dumping it in, you're going to add 1/2 cup of water. So I like to put the 1/2 cup of water in my freezer bag, mix it around a little bit to get all the rest of those juices and sauce, and then just dump it into your pot. Alright, when you're all done, go ahead and put the lid on. Make sure that your little knob is put to sealing, not venting. Then you're going to push the manual button or the pressure cook button. You're going to go up to 15 minutes. Now if it's frozen, you're going to want to cook it for 20 minutes. Now when it's all done, when the timer's all done, it will beep. Now usually I like to let it release on its own. So that means don't turn that little knob to venting. You want all the pressure to come out itself. Then when it's done, take the lid off and your meat is cooked and delicious. Now for summertime, I like to serve this with corn on the cob, a side salad, a delicious fruit salad. You could do lots of summer sides with it. Now the next recipe, we're making au jus or au juice, whatever you call it, beef sandwiches. Now if it's in the slow cooker, you want to cook it low and slow for about 10 hours. Then you're going to, in the Instant Pot, it will be about 1 hour, even up to 80 minutes, depends on how big your roast is. My roast is about 4 pounds, so I'm actually going to cook it for the 80 minutes. But I'm also going to let it sit in there all day. I'm going to put it in the morning and let it sit in. Okay, so I'm adding a Lipton onion soup mix and then 2 cans of beef broth because I want that liquid. I want to be able to dip my sandwiches in afterwards. Now a lot of people will make fun of me because I'm putting this in a freezer meal and it only is 3 ingredients. But when I have a busy night, just to not even think about throwing things together, just to dump it in is so convenient for me. Also, if you're giving it away to someone, there's a lot of people in our neighborhood who need meals right now. If I have something made and ready to go, I just have to cook it and that's it. Again, if you're freezing it, I suggest putting it in the refrigerator 24 hours before you cook it. It will just make cook time a lot faster and a lot easier to get out of the freezer bag. And if you're not using a freezer bag, just put your meat and your broth and just everything in your Instant Pot or your slow cooker. It's the same recipe either way. All right, so you're gonna push the manual button or the pressure cook button, and I'm going up, like I said before, to 80 minutes. Now you could probably cook this for 60 minutes. I just like it really tender and soft, and doing it for more actually won't overcook it. It will just make it nice and tender. So when it was done cooking, I actually let it just sit in there for about 6 hours until dinner time. It was still on the keep warm function, and so I didn't have to do anything until I was ready to serve. But if you are wanting it soon after, just make sure you do let it release on its own instead of doing a quick release. It will make the meat a little more tender as it depressurizes. All right, so now you can shred your meat in your Instant Pot, or you can take it out and shred it. Whatever you prefer is great. Now, once it's all shredded and ready to go ahead and pull it out and start making your sandwiches. Now I got some delicious hoagie buns from the bakery. That is my favorite thing to serve it on because it's a little bit harder on the outside. Now I love jalapenos on mine. My kids and husband love cheese on it. You could broil cheese and melt it in the oven, but I'm fine with just the jalapenos and the beef. Then you take some juice from your Instant Pot and put it in a separate little bowl, and then you can dip your sandwiches into your liquid, and it tastes absolutely amazing. Next, I'm going to be making sweet and sour meatballs. Now, if you're going to cook it in the Instant Pot, you're going to cook it for 7 minutes. If you're going to cook it in the slow cooker, I would say 3 to 4 hours on low. So I'm just going to jump into the recipe. So you're going to use a half or a whole red pepper diced up into bite-sized pieces. Next, you're going to have a can of pineapple, and go ahead and add the juice in there too. That's going to be your liquid, so it will pressurize. Next, I'm going to add about 1 pound to 2 pounds of meatballs. I got a big bag from Costco and I used half of it. Next, you're going to add a bottle of sweet and sour sauce. You can find this at most grocery stores, and just pour the whole entire bottle in there. And that's all there is to it. I actually doubled this recipe, so I froze this bag and then I also cooked some in the Instant Pot for dinner that night. Now I find it the easiest when I'm freezing a recipe to kind of make it flat, and I'll freeze it flattened down. Alright, so with my other bag, I'm going to just dump it in because I want to cook it right now. So there is enough liquid because of the pineapple juice that it should pressurize. So put your lid on, make sure that the lid is on tight and that the little knob is turned to sealing. Now you're going to push manual or pressure cook, and in the Instant Pot it only cooks for 7 minutes. In the slow cooker, it takes about 3 to 4 hours. Now, if you see the on button, that means you're doing it right. So now just walk away and let it cook. When it's done, the L will appear. That means it's done pressurizing. And so you can go ahead and just turn the knob to let all of the pressure out. Now when all the pressure's out, you can turn your lid and take the lid right off of the pot. And your meatballs and your vegetables will be all the way done cooking. So go ahead and stir them around. That will be your delicious sauce on top of your meatballs. Now usually I serve this over rice, or I buy the frozen Costco cauliflower rice, but I am out. So I'm making my own cauliflower rice, and I'm just going to show you how I do it really fast. So I have a pan, obviously, and it's on medium-high heat. I put a little bit of olive oil down so it won't stick and so it will cook a little better, and I've just chopped up all of my cauliflower. Now I'm going to season this a little bit with salt and pepper, and then just literally mix it around until it's cooked all the way through. Then I'm just going to put my meatballs on top. Now if you want a rice recipe for the Instant Pot, I'm going to put the recipe for you in that little dot up above, and so you can click a good rice recipe. Now for my last recipe, I'm going to make honey sesame chicken wraps. Now you can serve these over rice, but I like to serve them as wraps if you're trying to cut back on carbs. So 20 minutes in the Instant Pot, or 6 to 8 hours on low in the slow cooker. So I'm just going to put some chicken, about 3 to 4 pounds of chicken, into my Instant Pot. These ones that I'm using are frozen, so I'm going to cook them a little longer in the Instant Pot, and I'll show you when we get there. So you're going to start with an empty bowl, and you're going to dump in 1 cup of honey. Next, you're going to add a half a cup of soy sauce, a half of an onion diced up. Now, I also like to use a whole onion too. And then 1/4 cup of ketchup and 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. And then 2 cloves of minced garlic. Now, I like to buy the minced garlic that's already minced up in the fridge. Okay, you're just going to pour this mixture into your chicken. Then go ahead and zip it up and you are good to go. All right, so now we're going to dump it in the Instant Pot. Now, there is enough liquid in there that you shouldn't have to add any more. If it's frozen, you could add like 1/4 cup of water, but because mine's not frozen, it should be good. Go ahead and put the lid on. Make sure it's sealed correctly and that your little knob is on sealing, not venting. Next, you're going to push the manual button or the pressure cook button, whatever your Instant Pot has. Now, I'm going to cook my chicken for 25 minutes because it's frozen. If it's thawed, you could do 18 to 20 minutes. Now, when you're done setting the timer, it will say on. That means you're doing it right, so go ahead and walk away. All right, when your timer's up, the L will appear. Now, I let it release on its own for about 7 minutes or so there wasn't a lot of pressure left in the pot. So after I turn the knob, got all the pressure out of it, then I can turn the handle and open up the lid. Now, your chicken should be all the way done, and it will smell amazing. I'm just warning you right now. It smells so good. Now, I'm pulling out my handy dandy bear claws again. They're my favorite thing to use. You can shred it in your Instant Pot or pull out the chicken and shred it out of the Instant Pot and put it back into the juices. All right, when you're all done and it's all shredded, now it's time to put your wraps together or serve it on rice, whatever you like. But putting on wraps today, I also like to add some avocados with it too. It makes it taste so good. I'm trying to get my kids a little more into wraps. We've been trying tuna, and this chicken, I think, was their favorite thing in the wrap so far. Now, I was thinking about it, and I forgot to mention that we are building in Utah. I had many of you asking. So this is our house right now, and if you want any more house updates, I don't share a lot on YouTube, but I do on my Instagram. So you can follow me at Kristen_6sisterstuff. All right, you guys, thanks so much for stopping by, and don't forget, if you haven't done so, make sure you subscribe, and I will see you next Monday. See ya. Bye.